Jai Gurudev, welcome back. So, I wish you all firstly a happy Buddha Purnima. And yesterday, probably most of you have seen on live stream the Abhishekam and the celebration of Nrsingadev Chaturthi. It was really amazing. And yes, we miss the people here because you see on the Nrsimha Chaturthi, normally we go around doing procession and everybody is involved. But this year it is a bit different, and hopefully next year will be back to how it used to be. But anyway, everything is His will, how He will it. And well, you were all participating, from wherever you are, you were participating in the spirit, in your heart. And I think that what make it more closer, because very often, you see, being in the proximity, you're so much engaged into the outside things, what is happening, but you lose that concentration. But whereas where there is a certain distance, there is this appreciation of going deeper inside also and really participating in your heart. So it is really nice, but everybody from wherever you are, in the world, we were all participating, celebrating this celebration of Nrsingadev Chaturdasi, and really bringing that love, and really understanding beyond everything else. But for wherever we are, distance doesn't destroy anything. So the distance is here. You are all here. And that is the most important thing to understand. So, Jai Gopal.
Dear Guruji,
Yeah.
why do acharyas of high spiritual elevation describe the supreme reality in different ways? Adi Shankaracharya was obviously very elevated, yet you describe Advaitic philosophy as spiritual suicide. How can one have realization and miss the truth so dramatically?
Look, everyone have a certain understanding of the scriptures. So each acharya come according to its time. When we see here we are talking, I'm not saying that Advaitic philosophy, is bad, but for some people that makes sense. But for us it doesn't make sense, because we follow a different concept in itself, and also the understanding of the founder Acharya, we have to honor that also. But you see, the whole thing is about not comparing. I always say that, often you see people, they continuously compare. We have to see that Adi Shankaracharya brought a certain philosophy according to its time. And of course, as it was, Buddhism was progressing during that time, it was throughout India. And of course, he have to take that same philosophy and transform it in a way that the people can understand. Don't forget that at the end of his life itself, before he disappeared, what did he compose? He composed a glory to Lord Krishna. Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Muramate. He said, sing and praise Govinda. Let your mind be upon that Supreme Lord. Don't be a fool attaching yourself to this world. So he reminds that everything leads to Govinda. All throughout his life, whatever he have done, only to surrender to the feet of Krishna. And of course, Sri Ramanujacharya later on refute many of how he said it. Of course, because the time have changed. Once one have entered into that and they have a deeper understanding of Hinduism again, and the deepness of that, not just say, okay, I'm following a certain precept and I'm following certain knowledge, no. But they said, have the deeper understanding. So to deepen this understanding, of course, Sri Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, and so other acharyas, they came as a reminder that, yes, God is not only formless. You have a form, And being here, firstly, that you have a form, the most important thing is that to concentrate and build a relationship knowing that God have a form. Otherwise, you're just praying to, like I said, to a void, of nothingness. Then life doesn't have any purpose in itself. So understand that Adi Shankara didn't say, okay, yes, he said that everything is the same, but he didn't say that the essence in everything is the same. You see, playing on words, there could be many misunderstandings. Like Krishna himself said, I am in everything. Those who surrender to me, they perceive me in everything. So they perceived the essence, the omnipresence of God in everything. So we are not here right now to discuss about the philosophy of different acharyas. But from my point of view, you see, he have brought a certain understanding to remove that perception of how the Buddhist tradition was bringing that misunderstanding that they were spreading around, and bringing back the Sanatana Dharma, which Bharat was based upon that. And also, I'm not saying that Lord Buddha, whatever he have taught is wrong. It was also according to his time. He was an acharya and during his time to remind people that yes, what was happening at that time in religion was wrong. There were a lot of abuse in the name of God. So to bring that change, he gave a certain understanding, that people have to detach itself from that and attach to a certain reality, and that you can't do that in the outside, you have to do it in the inside. Then he took the path of meditation, whereas Shankaracharya tried to change that, and of course he have to bring a different understanding. And of course, as time proceed, one have to understand the deeper meaning of how to free the soul itself, because you see, when you see that Lord Buddha have clear understanding that yes, one is still in the chakra of life and death. One is not free from that, And of course, you go to a place where nirvana, but yet you still come, because nirvana is a state of a place of is a state level, where your consciousness elevates yourself, the state of self-realization. So Shankaracharya tried to copy the same thing, but then he said, Sri Ramanujacharya said, okay, fine, you have come to that point of self-realization. That is not enough. What is more important thing is to have that relationship with God, and God is not the void. You can't, of course, Vayu, you want to have a relationship with the air, then it don't make any sense to have a relationship with the air. Vayu is very important, without breathing, you can't. Right now you see with COVID-19, you see very clearly how important it is to breathe. But you can't have more, you can't hold him, you can't have a deep relationship with him. So the whole bhakti path is about that, having a relationship with God. When we talk about religion in itself, we see all the other, they all talk about having a relationship with a God. And God is not, we can't have a relationship when God is not visible. We have eyes, we have this physical body, we have a mind. We have to have this relationship with a God which is dear to us. Otherwise life become meaning. So if you think a little bit, if you have some brain inside of your head, you will see that if, for example, throughout thousands of life you have gone through, okay, and then to end up in nothingness, then what the use of life? What the use of all this experience? It become useless. So that's why it's a reminder that life doesn't finish. Once you attain even God realization, you dwell with Him. Through His grace, you dwell with Him and entertain the service to Him. You carry on your service, whatever service He have put you here, you carry on your service unto Him. So this is, it's not a clash in the philosophy, but it's just how to understand it as you grow. Like a child, when you are talking to a child, you talk to a child in a child language, which the child will understand. Oh, whatever. So you will not speak the same language. I remember when the child of 7 years old asked me, a question some days ago. The whole mood itself changed for the child to understand. Otherwise, it would not make any sense, to speak a certain language to a child, which the child would not understand. So the same way, you see, as you grow in spirituality, you go in your relationship to God, that understanding also grow with it. So more that understanding of the divine grow inside of you, more you have to speak a different language to itself. So like that, see, those who have, when you are in school, the teacher teach you, when you are primary, will teach you according to where you stand. As you grow, you reach university, you have to do your diploma. Of course, the whole language have changed. When you start to think about what you have journeyed throughout life itself, from where you were and where you are and how you were thinking before and how it is now, a whole change have happened. So like that also, the Atma go through different level. So for some, which is still into the process of growing, they will understand this philosophy as according to themselves. Then there will be the Advaita philosophy, or will be very suiting to them, because you see, it's easy. You don't need to do anything. Everything is given to you. You become like a spoiled child, which is not. It don't lead you anywhere. It leads you only into the cycle of birth and death continuously. So even if you rise, into your consciousness to a certain level, you become a great being. But still, in life you will have to come back again and grow into that relationship with God and really understand the deeper relationship what you have between Atma and Him. So even if you are part of Him, but there is a big difference between the two. That's why you will see that there is different, between acharyas, the way they think. If you look deeper, of course they speak the same, it sounds the same, but there's a big difference in how they approach it and how they live it. So understanding that, you will see that you are on a school, but from the beginning you have incarnated into this world until you go back again into where you come from. So you learn, but the learning should achieve to a certain level of learning. So it's not you just learn and then you forget about it. So like that everything is registered inside. That's why whenever the soul keep growing towards bhakti itself, that's why Lord Krishna said, but the path of bhakti is the most important and most elevated and most dear to me, because through that path one come to me, one get to know me for real, who I am. It's not just a philosophy, no, because Bhagavan become one reality, one truth, and one life in itself. But as long as one dwell into that ignorance of things, it's very difficult. So that's why you will see that there is a certain difference between what different acharya teach, you know. But one thing we have to bear in mind, everybody want to teach and bring people to a certain level. So.
To my dear Guru Maharaj, often in satsang you speak a lot about our purpose being to serve. What does to serve actually mean? Is it acts of kindness and charity to humanity, or is it only when it's done consciously to God?
Yes, you see, there's many kind of service. You know, when we're talking about serving, I'm talking about life itself become a service. You know, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 25, you know, Bhagavan said to Arjuna, the ignorance, for every action they do, they work and they get attached to the result. Likewise, the wise one whose mind is focused upon me, all their action, you know, the mind is focused upon me, all the action, they work in a detached way. And all the action is for the welfare of humanity. You know, when we look at this verse itself, you see Bhagavan have classified it clearly what kind of mind one goes through the world. You know, when we talk about service, for example, you know, when here this is your question itself. You know, so it said those ignorant, so who dwell in ignorance, the mind work only to fulfill their dreams. So they work, you know, endlessly. They, without any season, you know, without happiness, even with their joy or sadness, it doesn't matter. Their aim is to earn something. You know, no matter what, they are fully attached to what they want to get. So he said, but when we look at this, you see the majority of the world itself, you know, they work only for that. You know, if I am happy, that's it, you know. So here Bhagavan again is saying that these are a state of ignorance itself. You know, what will they bring? Nothing. Are they happy? No, they are not happy. So most of the time when they are not happy, what they will bring is disharmony around them. So the next thing that he said, the wise one, which is the mind centered upon me. So here again, Bhagavan said, in which way shall we do a certain action, but we don't create any karma? So the first one, due to ignorance, lot of karma is being created, lot because of the attachment to things. But here you see that Bhagavan is saying, the wise one, they do all with a state of detachment. They are not attached to things. They do it for the benefit of humanity. Whatever they do it for service of humanity. But their mind is attached to Krishna. So you see here, one can't just detach like that. Because you see, if you detach like that, there will be an emptiness. And if you fall into that emptiness, you fall into delusion. Then you become crazy. You know, like many times you see people like this, you know, due to ignorance, yeah, they want to, you know, because they are into the world. Yes, you know, they have been working very hard. They have earned their living. They have earned millions, you know, and yet they don't find happiness. And then they go on the spiritual path, you know. Yes, there's a drastic change, and they want to change quickly. So they just throw everything away. This kind of delusion happened here, even in the ashram itself, you know. So then they want to be seen as somebody who have done so great things, you know. So, but this is a complete delusion, because then there is no understanding for what really you are detaching yourself for. That's why understanding of that is important. That's why Bhagavan said, you know, those whose mind is focused upon me, whatever God have given me, it is blessed by Him. I should use it for the sake of humanity. What can I do? What a change can I bring for the welfare? You know? So that balance, we see clearly that both the ignorant one and the wise one, they both work. You know, they both work very hard. You know? They both enjoy, you know, what they are doing. But the difference is that one is enjoying for the sake of what it can contribute to that humanity. The other one is enjoying only for their personal aim and gain. So being in that state, one is not free, you know, because one, you see, is not ready to let go of everything. So letting go and attaching yourself to God, this have to have a balance. So while you are detaching yourself from the external reality of things, you know, with the sense object, here I'm talking about in the mind, and I'm not talking about materially, because materially is easy to detach. You just take everything and just throw it out by the window. Here, you are detached, you know, then you can call it detachment. Somebody come and take it away, it's gone. You know, if you go and look for it, you will not find it. So that is one kind of detachment you can really do and lose everything. Jagopal stops living. So, and then you have one which is in the mind. You detach yourself. You know, you go through the wise one. Like Krishna said, the wise one detaches itself. In the mind itself, you know, is not attaching, because he knows that everything, whatever he have to do here, is for God. That it is here where you see that life itself becomes service to Bhagwan himself. Like we said in Hindi, service to God is service to humankind is service to God. You know, so you have that deeper sense that whatever has been given to you in life is for serving of the Lord himself. And you perceive that whatever you do it in remembrance of him, and for the sake of bringing humanity and make everybody happy. That's why you see very clearly those who have gone onto the path, you know, the world still remember them. So how many people who have attached themselves to the material things, the world remember them? Not so many, you know. So, but those who have done great things for humanity, they have done it very often, very quietly. You know, I was reading one person who was giving millions, and he stayed anonymous completely. You know, he was giving to some university in Scotland, and that for years and years he gave millions. And this person, his life itself is completely simple. Yeah, and like that you will see many great examples like that. So last week itself, somebody sent me a video on Tata. You know, there is this founder, the Tata Motors, no? So the founder of it, you know, the man who founded it, he lived a very simple life. He even traveled. He have billions, but he traveled in economy itself. You know, when he traveled with the people. He's always with the people. You know, all what he have gave, his life itself was always about service. So, like that, you see, if you have that deeper understanding of service itself, you know, your life itself is seva. In what attitude you are doing it, who are you remembering when you are doing your service? You know, are you attaching yourself for you're doing service for your own glory? It would be the same like the man of ignorance. Then you are attaching yourself to the result. No, service is just to give and forget about it. You see, there's this beautiful story of Krishna and Arjun. You know? So one day, Krishna and Arjun was walking, and Krishna was praising Karna. And how great is Karna? And of course, Arjun was a bit, feeling a bit jealous. You know, said, "Why are you praising Karna like that?" You know, that I will tell you why. So he said to Arjun, "Listen. There is this pie, the mountain of gold. You know, I want you to give this to." Go around and tell to everybody first that there's this mountain of gold, but everybody have to come and receive this gold. And you have to give to everybody who come the gold. You know, you have to finish it. So Arjun said, "Okay, fine." So the day arrived, you know, there was a big pile of gold, and the announcements were made in all the villages around, and everybody came to collect their gold. So Arjun was on the mount of gold, and he was showering gold to everybody. So everybody will come one by one, and then they will get their share and leave. So then Krishna did the same with Karna. And said, "Karna, listen, there is this gold, you have to give this to all the villages." So when Karna finished his prayer and he called everybody, and Karna said, "Listen, my dear people, this gold is yours. Take whatever you want." And he just turned his back and left. So you see, service is the same. You know, when we talk about seva, it is like that. You know, whatever you do, straight away you should forget about it. You should not even think that whatever I'm doing, God will give me blessing for that. No, that thought also should be removed from your mind. Not even say, "Yes, I'm doing that for humanity." Don't boost your own ego. Don't boost your own. Don't praise yourself. You know. So understand that service, when you do, you should forget about it. That's why in the Bible itself, Jesus said, "What your right hand did, your left hand should not know about." It's rather you cut that hand and throw it away. You know, of course, not meaningly, you don't cut your hand and throw it away, but just understand the deeper understanding of service in itself. You know, so your life is about serving to humanity. What can you give to humanity? What is the purpose of this life? What can I do in this life that somebody else can profit from that? You know, what change can I do in somebody else's life? So you see, you don't need to change the whole world. You know, if you change only one person's life and bring one person on the right path itself, that is enough service you have rendered to this humanity, actually.
Dear Guruji, many take the presence of the living master for granted.
Oh, yes.
And tragically miss this opportunity that God gave them. On the other hand, it's said that masters and saints become even more present once they are no longer in the body. Is there a difference in grace between experiencing the living master or receiving his grace through a disciple after the master is gone?
Look, when the master is in the physical body, one should take the maximum opportunity to be in the presence of the master. What the use afterwards, you see? If you have faith and you have that devotion itself, if you have that excelled into a spiritual level, that you can perceive that invisible, how to say, of course the master is not, it is there, but it is not present into the physical aspect of visible. When he was there, you didn't profit from it. Do you think at the end, when he's not there, you will profit from him? No, you will not. So that's why, as long as, if you have a chance to be in the presence of a living master, take the full benefit of that. Because that doesn't come very often. Of course, the grace of the master is also with the disciple. Of course, the master's grace is also with everybody who is connected and built a relationship with the master afterwards also. You see. But when the master is alive, the master can tell you, yes, you're wrong, you're right, But if the master is not there, you will just do whatever you want. And this is the danger of falling. So, for me, you see, like a master, whether it is in the physical body or it's not in the physical body, there's no different to it. But the level of spirituality, the level of where you are and the level of where I am is a different level, of course. But masters are here to remind you of that. So, take full benefit of that presence of the master if you can, and enjoy that, because you don't know how long would that last, and live to the full of it.
Dear Guruji, what is the relationship between Atma Kriya Yoga, Puja, Kirtan and studying scripture? You teach us to do all of them, but how do they help each other, and how do they work together to improve our spiritual practice?
Well, I will say, look at your life itself, how it used to be before, and now that you practice them all, you see the difference. Me talking about the difference will not change anything, but see, where you can see the difference is that how you were before, how you were thinking before, and where you stand now, it's a different person in itself. And you see, for God have given you all this grace to do all these things, you can see that what the Bhagavad chapter 11, Canto 11, chapter 20, verse 9, he said, those which is working into the world, let them, they should carry on working into the world, because they are fully attached to this material reality. There's no detachment in them. And they are not yet ready to transform themselves. But those who have been called upon the spiritual path, they have been touched by the grace of God. They have been touched by the grace to get to know Him, to build a relationship with Him. For them, their life come to a point of transformation completely. So that is what is all about, transforming from what you were before, which were fully into the material reality, without any understanding of the spiritual realm in itself, because here I'm talking about the spiritual realm. It means your life itself had been carried on into that. So all these things what you are doing is about purifying yourself. Of course, it is an external things, but that what is you are doing right now have to change your mind itself. So the transformation of that mind, how you used to be before and how you are now, is a different mindset. And through that different mindset, you have been transformed into a different person in itself. So that's what all these things that you mentioned do. Yeah, transforming your mind so that that mind become divine and that mind become a complete surrender to Giridhari's feet and Guru's feet. So, Jai Gurudev.